Too much media. I'm fine.
Tune in to welcome to Too Much Media.
I told y'all niggas. I told y'all niggas. Y'all thought I was playing, but I told y'all niggas he coming home today. He coming home today. He coming home today. Told y'all. Y'all better believe it. The streets is his.
The streets is his. The streets is his indeed. Thug is free. I cannot believe this. Like, I swear to God, it was like last week I had said free Thug on here. And now he's actually literally free. I cannot believe this. This is literally an insane moment in all of, I'm gonna even say black history. Like, forget the music for a second. Like, let's talk about my people. Like Thug is really free out here, and motherfuckers been yelling free Thug the entire time he been gone. And usually every time everyone's like collectively saying free somebody, they never get free, man. And also, it also be like a funny joke where they're like, y'all saying free Thug or like free whatever person, like they're just gonna be like, you know what? Enough people done said free this person. Let's just let him go. Like, that's not how it works, you know? But that just shows you the power of 2024, I feel like, as well. Because it's like, the story couldn't be that Thug was locked up. They had to let him go. Like, we needed this. Like, they done too much this year anyway. They just took away Diddy. Like, I don't think this year could end with such a bad note. Like, Thug had to go free. Now we praying for our brother Dirk now. But, I mean, this is how the chips seem to be falling. But we praying for Dirk for sure. Stay strong, brother. I mean, I don't know what's back to Thug. Thug is free. I feel like in honor of Thug, I'm going to talk about Paid in Full because the other day, why did someone randomly put the entire movie on Twitter? And you know what I did? I sat there and watched Paid in Full on Twitter. I swear to God, the entire thing. And it wasn't my first time watching it, but I like to rewatch films because I feel like this is a good little creative lesson too. You should take this. I feel like every time you rewatch something, you get a new perspective on it. Like, because now you kind of know where the story is trying to lead you and why they're giving you certain pieces of information. The second viewing is a lot more like in depth for you, and also a lot more like, oh my goodness, I didn't even notice they had already shown this, you know. And that kind of reflects on real life a lot of times too, because I think a lot of times there's obvious hints and clues in what and why you should be doing or not doing certain things in your life, and because you're not paying attention in the way where you like know what's going to happen next, you let things happen, and then once the outcome comes, you look back and you say, oh my goodness, that moment when this specific thing happened was my clue that this future event was about to go down as well. And I think films are a good way to, like, you know, just go back and see, like, how did they, like, what did they need to, like, happen in order for the final event of what we know the end of this movie is going to be to happen. Like, what needed to happen in order for us to get here, you know? And yeah, but Paid in Full is really good though. It has Wood Harris, classic. Mekhi Phifer. I saw him on Instagram the other day. He's like, obviously they're all older now, but Mekhi aging swell, I'll tell you that much. And then Cameron, of course, which this is like a historic role for Cameron. I feel like no one could have played this role better than Cameron. And I seen him on YouTube the other day saying that when he went to go audition for this movie, he needed it so bad. He was running lines with Jim Jones. And he asked Jim, he was like, should I take a real gun with me? Like, really, you know, get into the role when I go? And Jim was like, yeah, that's going to be fire. Like, do that. And it's like, he's taking advice. So he goes to the audition with the gun. He pulls out the gun. He's pointing it at people. And I forgot who's the director. Oh, Dame. Dame was there. Dame was the one. Dame was the one casting the movie. Like, he's the one like producing the movie, you know, funding the movie, everything. And so Dame pulls up to the side. He's like, yo, like, you can't be pointing guns at these white people. What are you doing? And he's like, man, I'm not going to shoot nobody. The rest of the clip is there, but I really need this. Dame, come on. Like, you can't let me not play this role. And Dame's like, nah, I got you. Like, you got the role. Like, I'm going to make sure you get the role. And I'm like, this nigga can't pull up to the audition with a gun. Like, yeah, he was meant to play this role for sure. Okay, so Ace is Wood Harris. Ace is a young man living with his mom and sister in Harlem, working a dead-end job at a dry cleaning shop. His sister, Spirit Cardi B done got me. His sister Dora's boyfriend Calvin. No, this is just badly written. It said his sister Dora's boyfriend Calvin is a successful cocaine dealer, while Ace's close friend Mitch is a flashy, popular drug dealer. So yeah, when we met Ace, he's like at the dry cleaner or whatever. The boyfriend, or his sister's boyfriend, I didn't know it was his sister's boyfriend when I was first watching it, but he walks in and he like throws a bunch of clothes on the dry cleaner. He's like, oh, I need these clean. And he's like, damn, why couldn't you at least put it in a bag? And he's like, I don't need to put it in a bag when I got this. And he pulls out racks and he starts stunting on him. And then he's like, all right, whatever. And then the owner comes over because he knows he's stunting on him. And he's like, nah, he's not gonna handle your clothes anyway. I got it. Because he kind of doesn't look at him as a good guy because he's clearly a drug dealer. So he respects Ace more for having a real job and trying to make money the honest way instead of just, you know, selling things that are destroying their community. And Ace is standing there, and Calvin's like, no, I want him to handle my clothes. I want him to do it. And he's like, no, he has other work to do. He has to make deliveries for other customers. So I'm gonna handle your clothes. So it's just to kind of show you that Calvin is a drug dealer, but he's an asshole. And then Mitch, which was Mekhi, is a flashy, popular drug dealer, which is Ace's also like best friend basically. But he's not the same type of drug dealer. He's more of like, he's popular and he's just as flashy as Calvin, but he's nice with it. Like, you know, he always having a good time with everybody. He never acts, you know, above anybody, but you know, he obviously knows that everyone looks at him a certain way. But you know, he just is a cool guy, regardless of being a drug dealer or the fact that he has more money than everyone around him at all times. So that's why him and Ace are close and cool. And, you know, Ace kind of admires him. He kind of glamorizes Mitch's lifestyle the way, like, anytime Mitch walks in anywhere, everyone's kind of looking at him. Everyone thinks he's the coolest guy. Everyone's jealous of him. All the girls want him. Like, he glamorizes Mitch in his head of, like, you know, like, Mitch is that nigga. Like, if there was a drug dealer out here who's doing it, it's Mitch, you know? Okay, despite both of them promising a life of easy money, expensive cars, and women, Ace decides to live a law-abiding life. While at work, Ace finds some cocaine in one of his customers' pants. Okay, so it wasn't while at work. That same scene where the owner tells him, go make the deliveries and I'm gonna handle Calvin's clothes because obviously Calvin's just an asshole and he needs to do this anyway. Um, what's it called? He's like, he goes to one of the customers to drop off, no, to go pick up some, no. He was dropping off clothes and then one of the neighbors is like, hey, can you do a pickup since you're here anyway? And he's like, yeah, I got you. Let me just finish here. So he drops off the pair that he was there to drop off and he goes to the neighbor's house and the neighbor gives him a bunch of clothes. And another weird thing he does is undress in front of him. I wonder why he did that because there has to be a reason because when he went to give him the dirty clothes, he goes inside the man's house. The man starts talking to him about Mitch and how he knows that, his friend drug deals and why doesn't he and stuff. And, what does he think about, just the neighborhood and how people are selling drugs here and things like that. And they just get into a little conversation. At the same time, he's like, oh, wait, the pants I'm wearing right now, I also want dry clean. Hold on, let me go take these off. And then he goes, takes the pants off. Oh, I think while they were having the conversation, he probably decided to give him some Coke. So then that way he could see how he would react to it. So he kind of talks to him a bit. And he goes to another room, supposedly takes his pants off. Obviously he puts on something else. And then he comes back out, gives him that last pair of pants to add to the clothes. And then that's when he leaves, goes back to the dry cleaner, he finds the Coke in the pants. So my theory is that when he was talking to him, while he was talking to him, he realized he wanted to give him some Coke to see how he would react, but he didn't have any already on him or in an obvious way where he could sneak it into the clothes. So he quickly says, I want to also put these pants in there. So then that way he could go to the other room where he also had the Coke stash and he could put it in there. And so then that was the way he could sneak it in. Okay, because I was wondering, I was like, why would you try to get undressed in front of him? Like, I felt like it was like a weird move. Like, are you trying to make a move on him? Or also, is this some sort of weird power play where you're taking off your pants just to show you can? Like how when people are they have those movie scenes where they're in the interrogation room and the person interrogating the suspect will start eating or something to kind of, I don't know, to kind of show that they're the one in the power position. I thought taking off the pants was some kind of thing like that. Partially, it could have also been that, like a two birds, one stone. Like, I'm gonna make my show of dominance while I also test you. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, while at work, Ace finds some cocaine in his customer's pants. The customer, Lulu, is a cocaine supplier who lets Ace keep the drug. So yeah, he goes back and gives it to Lulu, and he says oh, I found this in your pants. He's like, oh, you found coke and you are bringing it back? Like, you didn't just take it? He's like, yeah, no, I'm not like that or whatever. And he's like, no, you keep it, it's yours. Okay, later on is when we find out that Calvin is his sister's girlfriend because Ace goes home after this long day of work or whatever, and Calvin is at his house, and he basically makes this whole display in front of their mom, where their mom cooked dinner. Obviously, they're all at the table. They're supposed to start eating dinner. And Calvin pulls out a rack of cash and says, here's some money for the groceries to the mom. And the mom is like, thank you, Calvin. And then he's like, yeah, we're not eating here, though. We're leaving. I hope that's fine. And clearly the mom is upset because, first of all, her daughter's a teenager. And second of all, it's dinner time. She wants to know where she is. She wants her to sit at the dinner table and eat with them. They clearly don't have a father, which is why Calvin is making this grand display. And they're clearly struggling, which is why the mom just quietly accepts the money. And then even though she wants to say, no, my daughter's staying here and having dinner with her family like she's supposed to, she just says, she'll be right out. And Calvin gets up and walks out. And they're all clearly angry at the daughter. And she's like, what? I'm the one getting stuff paid around here. If I wasn't dating him, we wouldn't have money. We wouldn't have money for groceries, the same food job I eat or whatever. So, yeah. But then Calvin ends up getting arrested for said drugs at the building because he sells right in front of their building, which is bro, of course they came and got you. You were so hot with it. Ace runs into one of his customers and easily sells him the cocaine for $100. Okay, so after Calvin gets arrested for the drugs in front of their building like an idiot, now there's a market for a bunch of Calvin's customers who are looking for him because he just got arrested and they want drugs. Ace is the first one to know that Calvin's arrested because he sees him get arrested. So now one of Calvin's customers comes to Ace and he's like, hey, have you seen Calvin? Obviously I'm trying to buy drugs. And then that's when Ace sees the opportunity to sell the drugs that Lulu had gave him, and he sells it to him for $100, but which is a horrible price. The guy's like, oh, how much you usually buy? He's like $100 basically. And he's just he gives them a whole bag of cocaine. It's clearly a lot of cocaine. If he broke it down, he could have made way more than $100, but he gives the guy a whole bag of and it's pure cocaine. Lulu has good product. He's with the cartel and stuff. So he has the best quality in the city, and he gives him a whole bag of it for $100. So I think it was to show you how unexperienced and unaware of how drugs work Ace is at the time when he gets involved. And I think the fact that Ace sees him that he sees Calvin get arrested and immediately sells drugs in the same spot that Calvin just used to sell drugs and got arrested at is also kind of a conversation of how the minute you take one drug dealer out of the market, you just open up space for a new one, you just gave Ace an opportunity to sell drugs that he honestly didn't know what to do with before Calvin got arrested. Ace was just holding on, so he didn't know what to do with it. Impressed with how easy it was to get $100, because he just got $100 off doing nothing. Ace goes back to Lulu for more cocaine to sell. Oh yeah, also Ace got fired / he quit his dry cleaning job right before he had seen Calvin get arrested because the owner, is kind of his mentor and his one father figure in the whole story. And as I said before, he was kind of happy with Ace, even though Ace had a dead end job and wasn't really doing anything with his life because he could easily go sell drugs, and he's kind of the one kid who is trying to stay on the right path and do something other than sell drugs. But he ends up finding the bag of coke that Ace was holding onto in a horrible spot that Ace hid it in. I don't know why Ace was hiding it just under the counter. He didn't even try to hide it. And he's like, what is this? And they get into kind of a squabble back and forth of, this is not going to help you in life. Don't sell drugs. And he's like, whatever, I don't care. So he quits before getting fired or whatever, because they get in an argument about it. Okay, Lulu has top quality supply of cocaine, which Ace sells on the street at a cheap price, quickly luring away customers from other drug dealers. Yeah, so to start off, Ace decides he's going to sell it for the low, so then that way he is kind of the best, he has the best quality and the cheapest price, and he's easily going to get everyone to want to buy from him and no one else, right? Ace starts wholesaling his product to other dealers in the neighborhood, believing everyone can make money and be happy. So yeah, so now Ace is kind of the supplier, Lulu is his supplier, and Ace is like the distribution for the whole city. Like everyone gets their coke. All of the drug dealers get their coke from Ace. Like he doesn't sell on the street ever. He just gives them the large amounts. They break it down and they sell it on the street. And Ace is really proud of himself while he's doing this because he feels as though drug dealers are mean and like don't like, you know, and are greedy and always the only ones with money, while everyone else in the neighborhood works very hard jobs and like tries their best to make money, and you know they live very hard lives for little to no money. So in Ace's head, he's kind of a neighborhood hero because he's finding a way to feed so many families off the drugs. So he's like, yeah, like in my method under me, like everyone eats. Like that's kind of his philosophy. Everyone eats, everyone eats. Obviously, he's the one making the most money, but he's breaking down everyone in the neighborhood. He wants everyone in his hood to be able to have everything they want and be happy. Like that's his philosophy with his drug dealing. Ace starts wholesaling his product to other dealers in the neighborhood, believing everyone can make money and be happy. Meanwhile, Mitch is arrested, killing a stick-up man who robbed one of his workers. Arrested for killing a stick-up man who robbed one of his workers. Yeah, so now Mitch is in the joint because Mitch was one of the first people that Ace put on and started, you know, giving him wholesale products to break down, along with like these two girls in his hood. And then after that, they just kept expanding and stuff. You know, they would just find more and more people. But Mitch was obviously his first customer. But now Mitch is in jail, and Ace is continuing to expand their business and become richer and richer while Mitch is in jail. When a fight breaks out between Mitch and another inmate, Mitch is aided by an East Harlem inmate, Rico, Rico is Cameron, by the way, who impresses Mitch with his ferocity and shows support. Okay, I'm pretty sure that Rico even set up, I don't know, they didn't show this to be true, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rico was the one who set up Mitch to get in a fight so that he could save him, because he knew who Mitch was before Mitch knew him. Mitch is just in there, obviously just trying to do his bid, minding his business, while Rico knows who he is and that he's cool with Ace, and he's like the ticket to having the good coke in the city after they get out. So he's like, he's has an incentive to befriend Mitch. So when he sees Mitch get in the fight, he immediately takes the opportunity and starts going ham. And obviously Mitch likes that. But I'm like, damn, Mitch, like you couldn't see through him aiding you though. Like, I mean, but then again, like someone helping you is always going to get them on your side, even if they clearly have incentives for aiding you. It's kind of like, well, thanks anyway, like regardless. So yeah, they're cool now. Yeah, who impresses Mitch with his ferocity. That's interesting, a word choice for this type of film. Like the way they're writing the plot is really funny. And show of support. Mitch is able to beat his murder charge, and both he and okay, so that's how Mitch gets out. I was wondering how Mitch got out, because they show Mitch in the joint, but they don't really explain like, oh, Mitch is in jail because of this, and this is how Mitch goes out. They just show Mitch got arrested, now Mitch is in jail, Mitch gets in a fight, this guy helps him in his fight, and now Mitch is out. Like they kind of just fast forward through these details, but so interesting. So I guess he went to court and fought the case and won. Mitch is able to beat his murder charge, and both he and Rico join Ace's drug empire. Okay, so Rico got out of jail first and goes up to Ace and tries to introduce himself, but Ace is really wary. One thing about Ace, the way he keeps up with his empire and makes sure that he's like the biggest drug dealer in the whole city, is that he's real demure with it. Like he doesn't show off that he's a drug dealer. Most of the drug dealers are like Mitch. They're real flashy. They're always buying jewelry. They're always buying new cars in the freshest clothes, buying women things. Like they're always showing off that they're making money. But Ace is real quiet with it. His girlfriend is Mitch's sister. So Mitch's sister is pretty chill too. She's Regina Hall is actually Mitch's sister, funny enough, and Ace's girl. And but he's real quiet. Like he doesn't buy too many clothes. He doesn't, go anywhere special. He doesn't buy jewelry. He doesn't get new and flashy cars. He stays real low key. His main focus is making sure everyone else gets money and making sure they're getting rich off of selling drugs. Like he doesn't really care about flashing money, but he wants to make sure everyone's comfortable at bare minimum. So he's also wary of new people. Anyone who really approaches him, he doesn't like new people. He only hangs out and talks to the same people he's known all of his life, such as Mitch. Like he doesn't associate with himself with new people. So when Rico comes up to him when he gets out of jail and tries to introduce himself, Ace is like, cool, like, okay, you are who you say you are, like, I don't care, like, and he moves on. And he's like, don't worry, like, when Mitch gets out, we gonna get cool or whatever. And he's like, whatever. So when Mitch gets out, that's when Mitch vouches for Rico and is like, yeah, we met in the joint, and he actually did get me out of a sticky situation. He helped out, like, he's cool. You should put him on so he can start making money too. And he's like, all right, cool. So since Mitch vouched for you, I'm gonna give you a couple, whatever you call coke at wholesale price. Mitch is able to Ace's drug empire when released from prison. The trio become wealthy, buying foreign cars, jewelry, and expensive champagne. Ace maintains a low profile. Mitch returns to his life as the popular hustler. Yeah, like when Mitch got out, Ace already had everything set up for him. He had already bought him a new car for him. He got him like jewelry. He made sure he had money in his pocket immediately. Like, oh yeah, Mitch also, by the way, has a little brother that like we know about throughout the film. Like every time he takes care of his little brother. His mom is strung out on crack. Like she's a crackhead. So she has a boyfriend who's kind of useless as well and is a crackhead who keeps his mom addicted. And his little brother is his main responsibility. He takes care of him. He buys him new shoes. He makes sure he's focused on school and staying out of the streets, because if he didn't take care of his little brother, then his little brother might have to hustle too. So he doesn't want his little brother to do that. So he does it, and he takes really good care of him. So Ace knows like handing Mitch a bunch of money is kind of like between two men, like when men get money from each other, it's a bit more like, oh, a grown man is giving me money. But like if a man gives a woman or a child money, it's different. It's more like, okay, you gave the woman or the child money, like you're just being a good person, you're just giving, like, or whatever. But when you give another grown man stuff between two grown men, it's a little bit different. So Ace gives the little brother the money, and he's like, go give that to Mitch. So it's like on some like, obviously the money's for you from me, but like I give it to your little brother to give it to you. So it's kind of like I'm giving your little brother money, not I'm giving you money as a grown man. This type shit, like, but it's respectful. I appreciated that little move that Ace did, because I feel like it was just another testament to his character and just the way he knows how to move. Like he knows how to behave himself. Like he doesn't just have money and lose his head. He has money and understands politics and like just the proper way to do things and act with people. So it's just another little thing that if you're watching the movie closely, you would notice how Ace moves. Yeah, so now they're getting money. Him, Rico, and Mitch are kind of like the main guys of the group of people who are drug dealers in the city. Like they're the main three who are moving the most weight out of everybody. And so yeah, Mitch is popping again. Like Mitch is doing things. Like Mitch is the same like flashy type guy, you know, nice new cars and watches and jewelry. He's taking care of his little brother. They're going to all the best parties because they're the hottest drug dealers. So the parties are like funded by them. So you know, they're hosting all the best parties. But Rico is crazy. Like Cameron did a great job playing this nigga. Like he's insane. Like he's always like, you know, he takes like videos of himself having sex and shows it to everybody in the whole neighborhood. He like is always beating people up and threatening people. He's always acting the flashiest, wearing fur coats, having crazy cars, yelling at people, showing off, you know, acting up on, like, you know, stunting on people. He's kind of like Calvin, but like worse. Like he's Calvin times 10. Like, and you know, one thing I didn't appreciate was like Ace is kind of not endorsing it. Like he's not openly saying like everything Rico's doing is great. He's clearly kind of like annoyed by how flashy Rico is. But Rico's also like a murderer. Like he's their enforcer. He's the one who like gets rid of anybody he feels like is a problem. If you're not behaving yourself, Rico's on that ass. He don't play, you know. He's a ruthless enforcer who worries Ace with his overzealous and high profile behavior. Yeah, like if there's one person who's gonna get them caught up, it's Rico. Like he's always doing something. Like every time we see him, he's beating someone up, he's flashing money, he's like, you know, bullying somebody. Like he's just overzealous. Like he's insane. But you know, Mitch is also flashy, obviously, but everyone fucks with Mitch. Like Mitch is mad cool, he's mad calm. Like he just is trying to have a good time most of the time. He's not really bullying anybody or beating people up or like shooting people in open broad daylight. That's the other stuff Rico would do. Like he'll shoot you in broad daylight in front of everybody. Oh, when Ace goes to Lulu's apartment, he finds Lulu dead and takes his diamonds. After Lulu's death, Ace goes directly to his supplier for cocaine. Yeah, so he comes to Lulu's house one day and Lulu's laid out. He looks through his house, he finds a bunch of coke, and he finds diamonds. He's like, bro, what the fuck? Like, he clearly could just take the diamonds and the coke and flee, but he wants more coke. Like, he's like, damn, if Lulu's dead, I'm not gonna be able to keep feeding the rest of the hood. Like, it's gonna be bad, like, once coke dries up in the streets. So he remembers that Lulu took him to this coffee shop one time with the other Hispanic people, like the other cartel members. So he goes there and he gives them the coke and the diamonds, and he's like, and they're like, what? You found coke and diamonds? He's like, first he tells them Lulu's dead. He's like, they're like, okay, interesting. And then he's like, yeah, but I found this stuff here. They're like, what? Why didn't you just take it and go? Like, why are you bringing us this? Like, what type of guy brings this type of gift? Like, why would you just give us this? And he's like, oh, I want more coke. And they're like, okay, can you handle so-and-so amount? It's like a really large amount. Like, you know, he's basically taking over as Lulu now because Lulu's dead. And he's like, yeah, I got it. When Calvin is released from prison, Ace agrees to give him product to sell in his old drug spot. Okay, so yeah, Calvin gets out and he finds that Ace is the biggest drug dealer in the city now and is the one supplying everybody. And obviously he's really pissed because he used to love to stunt on Ace. So now having Ace be the one to tell him how things are going to go and like be the one to like be in charge of him doesn't sit right with Calvin, very obviously, right? But Calvin quickly becomes dissatisfied with what he feels is a marginal position. Yeah, like he wants to sell more. He wants to be in charge of the little guys who are selling drugs on the street. He doesn't want to be a street dealer like he used to be. Like, but like the thing is, when Calvin got locked up, that's what he was doing. So Ace kind of just put him right back to what he used to do. He was like, yeah, here, I'm gonna give you some money and I'm gonna give you some weight and you start moving this, and you know, depending on how that goes, we'll see. But he's like, nah, like how's this little guy who I used to drop my clothes off to at the laundromat trying to tell me that what position I'm gonna be in? I shouldn't be with the same little guys who are out here selling on the street. I want to like be the one telling the little guys what to do since I know him already too. When Ace refuses to let Calvin run his old block, Calvin retaliates by attempting to rob Ace at his Aunt June's apartment, holding June and Dora hostage. Yeah, so his old girl, like he takes hostage Ace's aunt and his sister and also Ace, and he threatens him and he tries to rob him because he's mad at him for making him have a small position. Calvin, when Ace is unable to open the safe, June and Dora are executed by Calvin as another associate shoots Ace in the head, leaving him for dead. Yeah, so his sister dies and so does his aunt. Calvin kills them and they shoot Ace in the head too. But Ace somehow survives, but it's really bad. Like, he's very, very hurt. Despite his wounds, Ace survives as his girlfriend Keisha gives birth. Oh, yeah, his girlfriend was pregnant at the time, a.k.a. Mitch's sister. Feeling the physical and psychological effects of the shooting, Ace decides to quit the drug trade. Yeah, because now he has a baby, and he's injured, and he's made so much money. He's kind of like, he just wants to count his losses and stop selling. Rico tries to assuage Ace's concerns. This is not a word. Hold on. I'm not the one tripping. Let me see. This is a word? Make an unpleasant feeling feel less intense. Assuage. Interesting. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say this word. Assuage. New word alert. Okay. So he tries to assuage him. Rico tries to assuage Ace's concerns by revealing he killed Calvin to show potential enemies that the organization is strong. Yeah, so Calvin hops on a motorcycle, Rico hops on a motorcycle, finds Calvin and kills him. So Cameron goes back, Rico, aka Cameron, goes to Ace. He's like, nah, I got them. Like, we good. Like, you gotta watch the movie, man. The way Cameron was acting in this movie, I want to slap him the whole movie. He was irritating me. But he was playing the role so well, but he was pissing me off the whole movie. Ace strongly disagreed with Rico's initiative and remains steadfast in his position to retire. Yeah, so he's kind of annoyed that Rico even killed him because it's kind of hot. It's like, you know, killings and shootings and all this stuff, it makes more like of a case for them, you know, as far as the police. So he doesn't like that Rico is so quick to keep doing stuff, like, and especially he didn't even talk to him about it. He didn't even go about it in a quiet way. He literally just rode a motorcycle, did it in broad daylight, as he usually does. And he's just like, he's over it. Like, if anything, I feel like when Rico killed Calvin, it kind of even more increased him not wanting to sell, because it's like, see, now someone else is dead on top of me being hurt. Like, it just never ends with this stuff. I want to be done. But all the while, Rico is kind of looking at it like, bro, I need weight to keep coming in because, you know, when Ace got shot, he was obviously out of commission. So there was no weight coming in. Everyone was kind of dry on the streets. They had to just use their back supply and keep selling what they had and just keep breaking stuff down while they were waiting for Ace to get better so that they could keep moving stuff. So Rico's on some like, he needs to get better and we need to get this show back on the road. Like, I have money to make, like, you know, because his whole life is flashing his drug money. So he needs to keep making drug money. Like, this is not good on Rico's hand, hearing Ace say all these things. Mitch is, so Rico's been talking to Mitch obviously on the side, like, talk to your mans, like, come on, we got money to make. And Mitch is kind of itching to make money too, but him and Ace are cooler, and he's not trying to rush Ace and force Ace into different positions and stuff. He's on a slower approach to Ace with like, okay, like, you know, what are you feeling? Like, what are we saying? Like, how are we gonna move forward? Because everyone's kind of itching. They're kind of looking at me, asking me questions, so I have to tell them what you're thinking, you know? Mitch understands Ace's perspective that the drug game does not reciprocate any love or generosity. And yeah, like, that's basically what Ace has been telling Mitch on some like, nah, like, this shit is crazy. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And everyone is kind of nuts in this game. Like, I don't want to do it. And Mitch agrees, but he's like, he loves it. Like he loves the flashiness. He loves walking in and knowing everyone knows. Like, he loves all those kind of things, good things that come with the game, even though there's a lot of bad things that he hears Ace when he's talking about. But he's like, he loves that other part of it. Like, that always having money, having nice cars and shoes. Like, he's meant to be flashy. He's meant to be fly. Like, he got to be fly every day. Like, this shit is in him, not on him. He got to do it, is basically what Mitch is saying. Mitch decides to stay in the drug game because he loves the hustle, comparing himself to professional basketball players that continue to chase glory despite having enough money to retire. Yeah, that's basically the speech Mitch makes. Ace decides to let Mitch and Rico take over, vowing to introduce Mitch to his drug supplier. Yeah, so Ace is like on some, yeah, I got you, Mitch. Like, I'm going to introduce you to the guys who are giving the supplies, and you're going to take over everything. Like, you're going to be the biggest guy in the city. I'm done. You got it. But he's still recovering. He just got shot, so he hasn't had a chance to yet. But he's like, as soon as I feel a little bit better, I'm going to take you there. Because I don't think he wants to go to the cartel looking the way he looks and, like, doing too much. He's on some, like, let me just, like, get myself together, and then we can do all that. And Mitch is like, bet. And Mitch is patient because he's on some, I'm about to be the biggest guy now. Like, since Ace is quitting, like, that's more money for me. So, he's on some, like, take your time. I can wait. I'm about to be real rich. While Ace is recovering, Mitch's kid brother, Sonny, is kidnapped for ransom. Yes, so someone kidnaps his little brother, the same little brother I've been saying, like, has been keeping him kind of like, you know, steady, needing to make money as well because he takes care of him because his mom is a cokehead and she don't do nothing for them. So he's the one who takes care of his little brother, and he loves his little brother. Like, he does everything for his little brother. He buys him new shoes all the time. He always, like, hangs out with him. Like, you know, he just always is trying to encourage his little brother to be on a good path, and his little brother be playing basketball. So, you know, he'd be encouraging his little brother to play basketball and stay out of the streets. So Mitch is distraught when the little brother gets kidnapped. He doesn't know what to do. He's crying. He's like trying to figure out money for ransom. He's like, bro, when he finds whoever has his little brother, he's gonna kill them. He's pissed. He doesn't know what to do. Mitch hits up Ace, who gives him enough cocaine to pay Sonny's ransom. So because right now the streets have been low on coke because Ace was shot and like was in a coma and stuff, so no one was having any bread recently. So Mitch doesn't have enough money to pay the ransom. He needs more coke to sell in order to make money, in order to have enough to do the ransom because Ace been out of commission. So obviously once Ace finds out that the little brother Sonny has been kidnapped, he's on some, oh yeah, we need to find him immediately. Like, that's my little brother too. Like, obviously Ace knows the little brother since he's been born just as much as Mitch because they've been friends since childhood. So Ace always hangs out with the little brother as well. And you remember, like, how I told you earlier, like, even when Mitch came home, he gave the little brother the money to give to Mitch, so that way it was on some, like, being respectful. And he always plays basketball with the little brother. Like, that's just as much Ace's, like, takes care of him too, just like Mitch does. So he's like, he goes to the supplier immediately, even in his condition, and gets enough coke for Mitch to go sell so that they can pay the ransom. Sonny's ransom and allow Mitch and Rico to resume business. Mitch enlists Rico to help sell the cocaine to pay the ransom, but Rico instead kills Mitch and steals the cocaine. Bro, this nigga Rico is the grimiest motherfucker in life. Like I told you before, he was acting real antsy about Ace saying that he doesn't want to sell no more. He went and killed Calvin immediately so that Ace would be calm and like get back to it. He had been telling Mitch like hurry up and tell him to like, you know, get it together. Like, we need to get this shit going. So when Mitch goes and tries to tell him, hey, like, Rico, help me sell this real quick. I need to sell enough to get my little brother's ransom. Right now, Ace just gave me this coke. Rico's like, wait, what? He gave you coke? Why he gave you coke? He didn't give me coke. Like, we've been waiting to get back on business. What you mean? He's like, yeah, but we're gonna do all that later. Like, my little brother's been kidnapped. That's why he even got me this. Like, it's not even about making money just to make money. Like, on some being flashy and just having money shit. It's on some, my little brother's been kidnapped. He's helping out. He's helping me out. That's it. And he's like, hell no. Like, I'm not helping you sell coke so that we can pay for your brother's ransom. That doesn't even make any sense. I've been wanting money and coke. Like, fuck you. Like, and kills him immediately right then. And I'm like, what? Y'all been cool this whole time. Y'all been making money together this whole time. All of this stuff. And now over some coke and some money, like, you're going to kill him when his brother's been kidnapped? I was like, this is crazy. That was like such a big plot twist. Okay. But Rico instead kills Mitch and steals the cocaine. Suspicious, Ace questions Rico, who claims he had not seen Mitch the day he was killed. Yeah, Ace is on some like, oh my, like, obviously Ace is so upset when he finds out Mitch is dead. And he asks Rico, like, did you see him that day? He was supposed to be coming to you with some coke so you have to sell it for his brother's ransom. He's like, nah, I never saw him that day. And Ace is like, what the hell? That's so weird. Because he was supposed to be coming to you to sell the coke so that the brother's ransom. And that is also having him antsy too, because now the brother's ransom also clearly has not been paid. Ace knows he's lying and settles the issue by giving him the contact to a pair. Oh, yes. Okay, so Ace can tell he's lying. But earlier in the movie, we had seen these two guys who keep trying to approach Ace and be friends with him on some like the same exact thing that Rico was doing earlier in the movie too. Remember I told you that he had been, when him and Mitch got out of jail, Rico got out first and tried to introduce himself to Ace, and Ace wasn't rocking with him because he didn't know him. And Ace doesn't like hang out, like he doesn't put new people on. If you're new, you just will never get coke from him. He doesn't allow new people to be customers from him. So So there was these other two guys who kept trying to introduce themselves to him and get him to sell to him, and he always felt that they were cops. Like he was like, nah, those are feds for sure. Like you're not fooling me for 1 second. Like I will never sell to them. So when he realizes that Rico is definitely lying and is the one who killed Mitch, he immediately he keeps calm and acts like he doesn't know. He's like, okay, whatever. Well, anyway, I was gonna give Mitch the contact to the supplier because I don't want to sell anymore, but obviously he's dead, so I'm gonna give him to you instead. And Rico is pressed. He's like, yes, not only did I get Mitch out of the game, Ace doesn't want to sell anymore, and now he's giving me the supplier. I'm gonna be the biggest ever, you know. But instead of giving him the real supplier, Ace gives him the contacts to those two guys who keep trying to make friends with him, who he is 100% certain are feds. Rico, who he claims Ace knows he's lying, and settles the issue by giving him the contact to a pair of undercover FBI agents he had spoken to and avoided previously. Rico is arrested and is last seen in custody, giving up information to his drug connections in Washington, D.C. Oh yeah, so the entire time that Rico's been friends with Ace, he has been trying to get Ace to start selling in D.C. too, because they sell in New York only in Harlem, because they're from Harlem. And he keeps telling him, hey, I know some guys from D.C. I want us to start expanding there. We'll really start moving weight if we're multi-states with it. And Ace is like, nah, I don't want to sell in other states. That's too hot. Like, that brings feds, that brings problems, that brings people I also don't know, because he doesn't know them DC folks. Those are Rico's people. He doesn't want to involve himself with people that he doesn't know. And so he has been trying to get, Ace to sell in DC for some time now. So I think that now that Ace had given him the access to, well, what he thought was the suppliers and ended up being feds, he was planning to start selling in DC now that Ace was out of the game. Like that, he was like, bet, like now I have a supplier, I can sell to the niggas in DC. So when the feds lock him up, he's like, nah, I don't play about Harlem. I'm not snitching on nobody from Harlem. I'll give you some people out in DC I know about who are doing stuff, but I'm not giving up no one from my block, because I'll be back and I'm still gonna run those streets. I don't care. And so he wants to get, because he was facing 25 to life. So once he gives away the DC contacts, they bring down his sentencing. He refuses to inform on anyone in Harlem, intending on reclaiming his position when he eventually is released from prison. Okay. Sonny's kidnapping and subsequent murder were orchestrated by his own uncle, who resented Mitch for not providing him with money and for kicking him out of his family's apartment. Oh yeah, not only was Mitch's mom a crackhead, but his uncle was too, and his uncle was useless, and Mitch never respected him, and he always was like dissing him throughout the movie and being like, yeah, like, you're like, what was the uncle's name? They don't even put the uncle's name, they just put uncle. And the uncle was played by someone really good, like an actor, a well-known actor. Ice. It was Ron Cephas Jones. His name is Ice, though. Yeah, his uncle named Ice is also like a cokehead, just like his mom, and doesn't do anything. And Mitch doesn't respect him because he lives with them for free and doesn't do anything. And eventually, Mitch got sick and tired of like funding his uncle's lifestyle and his uselessness, that he kicks him out of the house. When he kicked the uncle out of the house, the uncle's mad that he would that he doesn't give him any money and that he kicked him out. So he kidnaps his own nephew. And then at one point, when Mitch was still alive, they had sent him the brother's finger. So they had even started like, torturing the little boy in order to like really make Mitch panic into giving them money. And then they murdered him because they couldn't like just let him go, because obviously he knows that's my uncle who just kidnapped me. So they just murdered him. And the police ended up catching him, though. Own uncle, who resented Mitch for kicking him out of the apartment. Ace retreats to the criminal underworld and makes a new life for himself and his family using diamonds that he previously found in Lulu's apartment. Oh yeah, I guess that he had kept some of the diamonds from Lulu. He didn't give them all back to the cartel. Lulu had a lot of diamonds, though. So he gave them some and kept some. And yeah, that's the end of the movie. Mitch dies, so does his little brother from kidnapping. Ice gets in jail for being a kidnapper. Rico ends up in jail and is also a snitch. And because Ace was a low-key drug dealer, he was able to get away with it. He never went to jail once. He did get shot, I guess. Yeah, so that was his consequence. He had permanent wounds from being shot, though, for sure. From what I took from the movie, I feel like Ace, when he was like in the beginning of the movie, Ace is surrounded by drug dealers. Everybody sells drugs but him. What everyone assumes is that Ace is too good to sell drugs. They all always say like Ace is just a good guy. Like that's kind of what the neighborhood labels Ace as. He's like the good guy who only works at the dry cleaner and is just innocent and just cools it and hangs out with his family and his friends, but is never too in anybody's face. He just keeps to himself and is a good guy, and the whole neighborhood likes him because of that. Like because they all know him because he works at the dry cleaner, so he's always washing everybody's clothes. That's what kind of everyone thinks of Ace. But I think they had him misread. It wasn't that Ace was a good guy or that Ace thought of himself morally as too good for selling drugs, because obviously the minute he was given the opportunity to sell drugs in the way that suited him, he took it. I think what it was more that is that Ace didn't want to be a type of drug dealer. In Ace's head, he glamorized dealing drugs more than everyone else because he didn't. Because he saw two different types of drug dealer. In his head, I think that Ace thought of there being like drug dealer dealing drugs not as being a good or bad thing in itself, but being a type of thing that you can decide which way to go. Like in his head, I think he thought of there's the good drug dealer and then the bad drug dealer. Like drug dealing itself isn't bad. It's just that the drug dealers themselves are bad or good. So it's like Calvin, for example, in his head, he thought of as the bad drug dealer, the mean one who threatened people and flashes their money in people's face and like just always abusing their power over everybody. And then there's the good drug dealer, like Mitch, who has drug dealing money, but is kind to everybody and, makes himself accessible to people and hangs out with everybody, And I think that in his head, even Mitch's way, even though Mitch to him still was a good drug dealer, was the wrong way to deal drugs. I think he wanted to prove that you can sell drugs and not need to be flashy. Like, you don't always have to stunt on everyone. Because in his head, that was kind of the bad drug dealer way too, of always being flashy because it brings other problems. So in his head, he wanted to deal drugs in his way, like where he proves to everybody that if you deal drugs with my philosophy, then you can deal drugs. But the problem is everyone else deals drugs with an improper philosophy. I'm going to prove that there's a way to do this the right way. Like he kept saying, for example, throughout the whole movie, everybody eats, everybody eats. He feeds his whole hood based off him dealing drugs. So to him, he's a good drug dealer because if it wasn't for him, so many people would be going hungry. They're literally living in Section 8, you know? So most of them don't have fathers. Most of them don't have help. Most of them don't have education. Most of them don't have so many things that would make their life better. So if he can make their life just good enough that they can maybe even find other means to help themselves besides drug dealing, then he's a good drug dealer, you know? So it had to be under his rule, because I also noticed that Ace never dealt drugs when someone else had to supply him drugs from his own hood. If he had to go and get drugs the way they were getting it, he didn't want to do it. But once he was the one who was supplying everyone else drugs, and he was the one who was the big shot and could kind of, have control, well, what he felt like was control over the situation, then he was finally willing to sell drugs and be the person who made sure everyone was okay. And also, in a way, maybe he was right, though, because he did kind of get away with it at the end. He never got arrested. He did get injured, but he survived. And he had his wife and child still alive. But I completely forgot. He got his sister and his aunt murdered, though. And his best friend died. And his best friend's little brother died. It's like, he kind of did prove that he could get away with it. But in proving that he could get away with it, he showed that even though he could get away scot-free, everyone around him had to lose their lives. And everything horrible had to happen to them just in order for one good thing to happen to him. Which is insane of a sacrifice to make for being able to so-called feed everyone, just for you to be the only one to get away scot-free. All of the people that Ace was spending the entire movie saying that he wanted to feed and help and be the one to make sure it was okay, ended up either dying or going to prison for the same thing that he was trying to use to help feed them. So it's like, you did feed them technically, but in feeding them got them killed. Wouldn't they have been better off broke and alive? Like, oh, very sad movie. No happy ending. It's a real Shakespearean tragedy. But yeah, damn, Dame was so ahead of his time. That movie is so good. Like, we need like new versions of films like that. You know what this film is making me think of, since I even started this off with Thugs Free and shit, like, and we're also happy, like, I swear to God, we about to get the best album ever. I can't wait. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be nothing else to listen to. No, what really needs to happen is him and Gunna need to do a joint album. That's what I want. Yeah, Gunna Thug joint album. Let's get it. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, you know what's a good path for him? I feel like next up he should get into the film game. Like, if Thug starts making movies, bro, he's gonna be untouchable on some 50 shit, on some Dame shit, on some, damn, I wonder why Jay-Z never touched film. Maybe he's just not that interested in it. I feel like he could have had some cold movies too. But yeah, if Thug gets into film, he starts doing some like Atlanta, like, 'cause Atlanta got so many like talent out there, like as far as people who want to make movies and want to act and stuff. Like, I feel like that would go crazy. Like, that should definitely be what he invests some of his time in now that he's free and can do whatever he wants. And especially now too that they said he can't be in the metropolitan area. Like, if you're in the woods and stuff, like, that's perfect places to build sets and like to make movies and to like think of ideas and like just to have time to really lock in. Like, you can't really go out and be amongst the people, but if you make your own sets, you could bring the people to you. That would be lit. Oh my God, that would be catching genius. That would be catching genius for sure. Yeah, but that was a film. That was my thoughts. Oh my God, paid in full. Yeah, he definitely got paid in full. Like, you gotta be careful what you ask for in this life. That's crazy.